for language teachers, the job aspect has changed a lot in recent years. You know, if you compare the old life of a language teacher living and working abroad in schools to the way things are now, I mean,
It's almost 20 years ago that I started teaching, and yeah, it's a different world now.
I mean, one of the main things in terms of the nature of the work is that, you know, the old way of doing things is very much that you have a job. So you would, you know, like I did my teacher training qualification back in 2008, and then I went job hunting. I went on job boards, looked around, researched, and just took a job, and that job took me off to Japan, and then I ended up quitting that job and taking another job, and it was all from one job to the next, and that was very much the way it was. But in the online world, it's different. You can work for companies. It's generally not a very good idea. Instead, you build your own client base, your own, you know, individual students that you teach one-to-one. And so rather than having one job, you actually have multiple, dozens often, of different students, which I guess it probably sounds strange to someone that's not used to it, but actually it's a much better way of working, because it means if one student leaves, you've still got 19 others who are there and you can replace them, rather than the risk of having one job which can just, you know, be ultimately potentially be taken away.
And another key difference, of course, is you're working from home as well, and an advantage to that is therefore you're not commuting. And I worked in Italy. I worked in Rome, and I lived 90 minutes outside of Rome. So when I was commuting, it was 3 hours a day traveling.
What made you live 90 minutes outside of...
It was by a lake, so it was very beautiful.
Right.
It was almost worth it, but yeah, 3 hours of traveling. So, you know, that just stopped when I started working from.
Funnily enough, when I was teaching in Japan, I also lived by a lake, actually. A very nice place called Shakuji-koen. Very nice lake, great. Problem was, my junior high school where I used to teach was on the other side of Tokyo, so I used to have to get a train at 6:30 in the morning, a packed Japanese commuter train, to the other side of Tokyo. It was, and then the same.
Was it worth it?
Well, I don't know. Who's to say whether something's worth it or not? I mean, it was a good experience.
Yeah.
The teaching, that is, not the commute. Yeah. And then and now when you're working online, you say goodbye to all of that. It's quite something. The other thing is that not only do you not need the commute, but you can also live anywhere you want when you're teaching online. And you know, we have many colleagues and, you know, acquaintances who live in the most wonderful places around the world, like Cara, who lives in the south of France and then works from home teaching online.
And you can design your own schedule as well, so you can just work in the mornings, just work in the evenings, take a day off in the middle of the week.
Right, it's a far cry from. I mean, I remember you told me in the past about some interesting shift patterns that you used to have to work in your...
Split shifts, yes. Early morning, finishing at 7:45 or something, and then thinking that I wasn't going to finish the day until 9 p.m. at night.
It is one of the benefits of working online for yourself. You're ultimately in control. And many people choose to teach slightly less, earn slightly less money, but have control and freedom over their schedule, and that's really quite something. But the internet's not just about that flexibility. I mean, you can also, because of the online work, you have access to so much more material as well. And this means that when you are, whatever your student may express an interest in, you're able to immediately go online, pull up a video, a news article, whatever it may be. And that makes your work a lot more interesting than when you have to just have the... I used to teach with these horrible old textbooks, and everyone would have these textbooks, and it was...
Did you have a blackboard or a whiteboard?
I've always had at least a whiteboard. I've never... Actually, no, in the junior high schools we had blackboards, and I used to get covered in chalk.
But just on a practical level, just, you know, I've worked in schools that had interactive whiteboards, but doing it online is so much quicker, so much easier. You know, half the time the interactive whiteboard didn't work as well. But online, you know, if a word comes up in the lesson and you think a picture would be really good here to help, you know, get the meaning across, Google Images, you've got it in seconds.
Absolutely. And how about the staff room? Because the staff room is obviously something that every teacher who's worked in a traditional environment knows about, but that's quite different online.
It is. So you don't have that traditional staff room, which is so important, you know, as we know. But you essentially have a virtual staff room, and a huge virtual staff room, because there's an international community of teachers out there. you know, that you really want to connect with, and it's so valuable to share ideas and share experiences, share materials as well.
Yeah, that's right. And even students, you know, often if you,
Absolutely.
the more colleagues that you have, or people who you know, friends who work online, often you see, you know, someone gets a student who's not quite right for them, and say, "Oh, come and learn with Chris over here because he's the right person for the job." I mean, so ultimately, you know, it's really hard to overstate the amount that the online world has changed the job of a teacher, and it really is like a fantastic opportunity, both for people who want to, you know, change careers, do something new, but also for people who have been teaching, and we have a lot of people apply to CEOLT, in fact, who've taught in traditional teaching environments, but now see that actually working online is a lot more attractive.
Yeah, and it's the future.
It's the
Well, it's the present.
well, the future's here.
Exactly.
We're here now. It's early days, but this is the thing. When you position yourself and learn how to work online, you will never be out of a job in the future because it's the way things are going.
You're future-proofed.
You're future-proofing yourself.